Hi there, it's Sue from Miller's Laboratory. We're going to have some fun today and kind of do a throwback video where we go back to elementary school and recreate some of the little artsy crafts that we used to do. I am working on a Valentine project right now, and so it's reminding me of my childhood elementary school days and all of the fun little techniques we used in art class. And so I'm going to just share a few of those with you today. I think that even though the project that I'm making right now is slightly childish, maybe you can adapt these to more sophisticated things for your journals as well. So I just have some pieces of construction paper here, pink and red, and I'm cutting these into little thin strips. I have about 4 layers here, I think. What I'm going to do here is make some confetti, and there would be other ways to do this. You could use a hole punch or something. I don't have a heart-shaped punch, and the thought of punching out, you know, little circles like that one at a time is too tedious to me. I don't care if they're perfectly uniform. They're just going to be little squares. So I've cut a few strips here, and all I'm going to do then is cut those into smaller little squares, or roughly squares. And I think I can do them all at the same time here. So I hope everybody's doing well. This is kind of a fun thing, and I'm hoping that some of you that are watching might share in the comments some of the elementary school arts and crafts that you remember having fun doing, and especially if you can think of ways to adapt them to what we do now. That would be really fun. All right, you can see you can get a lot of them here in a pretty quick time. So now you may wonder, what am I going to do with these? All right, I'm gonna stop right there. Okay, all right, so I'm just gonna gather these up. And what I've done here is I've laid down a piece of poster board so that I can easily pick up what I'm doing here. And I'm just going to scoot these over to the side, and I have a couple pieces of wax paper. So now you're going to remember this. And usually this is something we did in the fall, is at least what I remember, is that we would put leaves between 2 pieces of wax paper and then iron them. But we're going to put some confetti in there. And you could buy confetti. I know, you know, there's confetti that you can buy. It might be plastic. I'm not sure. And I wasn't sure how that would work if I put it under an iron. So I just decided to make some paper confetti, which is easy enough to do. It's, again, it just took me a couple minutes to cut these up. And I'm just scattering this all around on here. There's plenty. I could probably have done 2 sheets of this, but that's okay. All right. So you all know the game here, I think. Once I get this all on here, I'm going to lay the second piece of wax paper on the top. And then I'm just going to pick up the whole poster board and take it over to my iron. I can't do that under the camera, so get these on here. And you know, you can arrange them however you like. Little heart-shaped punches would be really cute if you wanted to do that. And I mean, it certainly wouldn't hurt to try using confetti that you buy from the store, or sequins. I thought maybe sequins would work. But we're just going to lay the second piece of wax paper over the top here. Perfect. And I'm going to pause for a minute here, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back, and look how great this turned out. It just makes this semi-transparent paper with all the pretty little pieces of confetti in there. So this would make a really cool like pocket. You could just cut this up into pockets and then you would still be able to kind of see what was in the pocket. Or it would be nice to make a window in a page where you would have a hole in the middle of the page, and then you could have this there and you could kind of see through it to the next page. So I'm not sure yet how I'm going to use it in my book, but I'll have that flip through done in a few days, and then you can kind of see what I did with all of these projects. All right, the second thing I'm going to do is going to involve some paint. And what we're going to do is take a sponge and we're going to cut it into a shape, and we're going to use it like a stamp to stamp onto paper. So I haven't tried this yet. This is just a regular sponge, doesn't have a scrubby side on it or anything, and I'm going to just fold it in half, and it folds pretty easily so that I'm going to have the about, you know, half the size of the heart that I want. We're just going to try to cut this with regular scissors and we'll see how it goes. It's cutting pretty easily, not to worry. Just kind of easing that around. And I'm squeezing it as much as I can while I'm cutting so that we get a pretty good shape. All right, so you can kind of see the back of it is a little rugged, but this front part here is a really nice heart. I'm just going to trim it a little bit. And maybe I'll cut out another one in a slightly different size. So let's try that. So we have a little variation. I don't know why Valentine's Day brings out the little kid in me. I have a lot of memories of Valentine's Day, and frankly some of them are good, and I do have some bad memories too. But it was very memorable to me for whatever reason. And maybe it was because we were working with paper and making things out of paper, and how much I still love that to this day. All right, so I have two little hearts there. Those are going to be great. Now I'm just going to pause here for a second, grab some paper and some paint, and I'll be right back. Okay, I've got some red paper here. This just happens to be text weight paper. I had a huge thick package of it. You could use any paper for this. Scrapbook paper, construction paper, cardstock, whatever floats your boat. And then I just have a couple of different pink paints here, Apple Barrel, like the super cheap paint. You can still buy tempera paint. I saw that at Walmart and I was tempted to buy it, but I didn't know how well it would hold up, and I don't know how often I'm going to use these pink paints. So I didn't want something that was just going to, you know, what I remember happening to these art projects is over time is that the paint would get all crumbly and kind of flake off, and I would rather that didn't happen with these. So all right, so I've just I have just a plastic container here that I turned upside down, and I'm just going to dip my sponge into the paints, and I'm kind of mixing the two together here. And I like that you can see the holes of the sponge, because I want you to be able to tell that's what it is. And then we're just going to touch it on there and do that all over the paper. And I'm just going to go randomly, but you could definitely do a pattern if you wanted to. I think that's quite pretty. Kind of lacy looking. You can see that we're definitely going to need some more paint here. Okay, squirt a little bit more on here. I remember doing lots of interesting painting with different objects. Like, it seems to me I can remember like dipping a flower into paint and then pressing that on to paper. I don't know if that's true, but I kind of remember that. And it seems like there's lots of different things you could use for this. I also thought of making potato stamps, which is a very fun thing to do. I don't remember actually ever doing that in school. We did it like in 4-H or brownies or something like that. I can't imagine this day and age anyway, kids being given a knife in school to cut up a potato. So, but you could definitely do that too. If you don't know how to do that, just Google it. It's still out there. Get up a little bit more paint here. You can see it does use up a good bit of paint, but I suppose my sponge is probably soaking it up. All right. We'll just get this one sheet covered and then we'll try with the bigger stamp too. Oh, that's kind of a lot of paint. I don't want too much paint on there. Like I said, I want the holes to show. I don't want it like solid, if you understand what I mean. Okay. And you can do a couple. If you get enough paint on there, you can do a couple without re-applying. I think that's quite cute, and that can be cut up and used for whatever. Let's see if I can get one more right there. Good. Okay. All right. So we'll set that one aside and we'll try out the bigger stamp. Now you could also get really fancy. And while that paint is wet, you could sprinkle glitter on there. I might have some glitter. You know, this would be the time to get it out, wouldn't it? Let me go grab some. All right, this is just white glitter. I think it's glitter. I hope it's not embossing powder. It could be embossing powder. It's not looking very sparkly, is it? But you know, that could be a thing too. I haven't done embossing in a really long time, but we'll try it. If that turns out to be embossing powder, we'll heat it up and see what happens. All right, I'm just gonna pop that off here. Yeah, that's definitely embossing powder. Well, I turned it into a whole other thing than I planned, but sometimes that's the way it goes. Okay. Alrighty. Let's get back to it here. That one's a little messy. I don't care that much. I think it's charming. So I just want to bop back to the wax paper deal, because if you've been watching me for a while, you've probably seen me do that before. I do put leaves or artificial leaves inside wax paper if I'm doing a fall themed journal. You can also put dried flowers in there and it preserves them quite nicely, so I have done that as well. Anything in there could go, really. Okay. Just kind of go right off the edge here with this. Oh, that's good. And then we better put some more embossing powder on there, since that's the direction we wound up taking this. So it's funny. Okay, so what I'm going to do with this is let this paint dry, and then we'll grab the heat gun and we'll put it on there and we'll see how it turns out. I don't think I've ever embossed over paint before, only ink. So this is definitely an experiment. All right. One more on there. Okay. All right. I'm going to tap that off. Sorry if it's right in your face there. Yeah, you can definitely see that is definitely embossing powder on there, because it just looks all white now. Get all the rest off. All right, I'm going to set that aside to dry and just kind of clean this up, and I'll be right back. I'm back. While we're painting, I thought another little project I wanted to try with the paint, and so I've added some more pink, and I also added some red on there. And this is just I just grabbed this is old typing paper that is longer. It's 8.5 by 14, and what I'm going to do with this is paint with cookie cutters. This will also be very preschoolish but fun. So I found these at Walmart, $1.24. This is the time to get the heart stuff because it's out and it's cheap. I did just go to the baking section first. I'll just tell you this as a tip. And they had a heart set there as well. It was like $3 something. And I picked it up, and then I started walking around and I was looking at the Valentine stuff, and this was way cheaper. So, and I mean, for what I'm going to do with it, I'm not going to probably ever make cookies out of it. So I'm only going to use like maybe these 3 smaller ones here. Okay. And we're just going to use these like stamps also. And we'll just start with the little one for fun. And I'm just going to stamp it into my paint. Can you see me there? Off to the side, and press it on. And you're going to get this really cute outline of hearts on here. Isn't that sweet? I just love that. So you could do this all one color and then overlap with a different color. Kind of getting a little drippy there. I don't want to do that. And it looks like you can double dip. You can do 2 with 1 dip, which is good to know. This is fun. This is kind of like letting your inner child come out again. That poor inner child's been stifled in there for a long time. Okay. Oop, I'm kind of dragging it in my... Just moving that paint off the edge a little bit here because I was kind of dragging it onto my paper. I'm digging these. They're cute. Kind of trying to turn them and make them a little random, but again, if you wanted to, you could get really precise and put these in a pattern. I mean, this just could not be easier, really. And you want to embrace the drips and all of that sort of thing, because that's how it would be if you were a child. Let's get these edges. I want to be able to use the whole sheet. So I want something all the way around the edges here. I'll get some up here. That. And here like that. There, that's good. All right. Okay, we'll take this one off. Set it aside here to dry. Now we'll try the bigger sizes here. Okay. The big one's going to be a little challenging because I haven't got a big enough palette here. That'll work just barely. Let's see what I got here. Oh yeah, look at that. So for this one, I'm just going to kind of turn them back and forth, and we'll see what happens if we try to make it a little more uniform. We'll see how that works out. Because what I'm thinking here is that I'm going to do these big ones, and then I'll do a small one inside of it. Oh, there you go. See, this is one of the drawbacks. You're going to be painty. And if you were a kid, if you had the tempera paint, that's just really easily washed. So be careful with this. You're going to have a mess. Okay. I don't know if I'm still, oh, I am still on camera. Okay. It's awkward because I'm trying to keep it all with this one hand and not mess up my other hand so much. Okay. All right. Okay, so we've got big hearts all over it. Now I'm just going to come in and put some smaller ones in the middle. I seem to have plenty of paint here. Okay. I'm going to scrape this a little bit to the middle again here. Kind of all got spread around with the big one. I'm just going to come in and do a smaller one inside there. Isn't that cool? I think it's cool. Okay. I think this is fun. So, obviously, you can get cookie cutters in any shape in the world. You can get a flower shape, you can get leaf shapes, you know, just geometric circles or, you know, squares or anything. So I'm curious what you might use this technique for in your artwork today. All right, so there's our little foray into the paint. Let's clean this up and I'll be right back. All right, one more thing we're gonna try here. While I was looking at the Valentine items at the store, I found these little cupcake liners. These are the small ones for the mini cupcakes. And I saw these pretty ones and I thought, let's make some little flowers out of those. So I'm sure you guys have done this before as well. I'm just going to take some of these liners and open them up. They don't want to open up very well, but that's okay. If you just kind of give them a, you know, like a bend here, you can kind of get them apart. And if you flip them inside out, just like coffee filters, then it's very easy to peel off one at a time. Did you know that trick? Okay. So I don't know how many there are here. There's like 100 in the package, I think. So maybe 50 of 2 different colors. The other ones have little hearts on them, and we might try those too. But I liked these stripe ones. All right. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut them kind of like petals. So I'm not going to bother rounding those or anything, but I'm just cutting a little bit farther than into the bottom of this, like where the bottom of the cupcake would be. And I'm cutting 5 of these. I don't know if I said that. 5 of them all together here. So you don't want to go in too far into the middle because you don't want these to get too skinny where they're going to rip off. Okay. Get one more here. All right. So now they're all jaggedy. And then we're just going to glue them together, but we're going to stagger them a little bit. So we'll put one down and see now they're going to lay nice and flat because I cut into them. And I'm just going to take a little bit of, this happens to be Fabri-Tac, but any glue. If you really want to get retro, you could find paste. Although I don't know if you can still get the paste like we used to use. I'm just going to stagger it so it's not exactly lined up the petals. I want them to be at different spots. Does that make sense? And then once we have 5, we'll kind of see if we think that's enough. We can always put more on there if we want to. But, you know, when we were kids, we might have done this and made them, you know, really fat. And you could do that too. You could make a really fat one and then fluff it up like a carnation, and that would be really cute. But it's not going to work very well in a book because it's going to get flattened out. So just kind of make sure that they're staggered. Okay. All right. So now these are just going to all kind of get fluffed like this, and then make a cute little flower. And if I put them in a book, I would put a button or something in the middle. Is that cute? I think it's kind of cute. Okay, I'm going to grab that stuff we painted. The first one isn't quite dry, but almost. And I really like how it looks. I think it's kind of subtle with the pink on the red, the different shades of pink in there. I think it's quite cool. It'll make a nice background. All right, now we're gonna try embossing this. So I'm gonna go grab my heat gun. Be right back. Okay, I have a heavy duty heat gun here. This one you can use for like stripping paint. And I don't want to apply too much heat on this mat, so be careful of that if you're doing this at home. You don't want to ruin your mat, your plastic mat. So I'm going to hold this up away from the plastic, and I will mute this and put music on or something while I do it. Okay, that turned out pretty. You can see though I scorched my paper in a couple places, so you got to be careful of that. I mean, it's been a really long time since I heat embossed, and obviously we wouldn't have had that available to us when we were kids, but it does make a pretty spin on it, so I like how that turned out. Okay, so we've got that. We've got our pretty confetti paper. And we've got our little flowers. So I hope you enjoyed that little fun trip back in time. And stay tuned for the flip through of this book I'm working on. Thanks. Bye.